This morning. That's awesome in itself, is it not? Okay? When we were doing the meditation and we went into the silence and getting nudges from spirit or a little message, and I got a nudge that I forgot to hand these out before we started today. So if anyone would be so kind as to distribute them. So grateful for nudges, always, always. I am so delighted to be here. I'm so grateful that I got to see this beautiful, beautiful sanctuary and manse that you have and the grounds, and I'm just absolutely delighted. You can really, really feel spirit in this place. I spent some time yesterday with Reverend Karen, and we got to talk and just catch up on a number of different things. I've seen her at different events before. Prior to the message, let's open our hearts and minds to receive that which resonates or works for us. Let us be directed in this time to know what we want to see in this new year. The message is beyond the threshold. We do a lot of things on January 1. Perhaps you do a vision board or some special white stones or burning bowls, and I'll talk about my burning bowl experience in a little bit. But right now, maybe refresh. We're already partly into the month. Maybe refresh what you would like to see. As I talk about things like creating. We look at clouds, maybe as a child or even now, and you look at clouds and you see things in them. Oh, I go with my grandkid, I see a fish, or I see a mountain, or this or that. Consider being able to look at clouds and make them go into the form you would like to see. Oh, I'd like to see a birthday cake in the clouds today. And then, now, are you actually making the clouds turn into a birthday cake, or is it something inside you in your vision that's allowing you to see the birthday cake in the clouds? So let's think about that for a moment, and also, if you wish, to give yourself some love. We're so grateful for the people that are watching at home, whether you are in your living room or having coffee or in a hammock, if you're somewhere much warmer than where we are today. When I was in Barbara King's School of Ministry, which was a wonderful experience, I remember the teachers would remind us always to be positive. If I came in late, remember one day I did come in late and I said, "I'm so sorry, I hate being late." And my teacher, Reverend Kathy, looked and said, "Bronte, what did you say?" I had that word hate in there. I said, "I love being on time." I'm going to work on that, okay? So why don't we give ourselves some love, and you can do this at home too very easily, just by giving yourself a hug if you're able. If you're not able to do that right now, picture that. And say something like, "I love myself." I love myself. Or you could say your first name followed by, "I love you." Bronte, I love you. You don't need to say, "Bronte, I love you." You say your own name, and "I love you," okay? I love you. And feel that love. Sometimes we think we've done all our forgiveness work on so many others, and yet we haven't completed it on ourselves. Oh, that. Awesome. We give ourselves a blessing, right? Just like that. Myrtle Fillmore, one of the co-founders of Unity, said, "Our first duty then is to bless our body, to praise its wonderful work, and learn what it needs are, and for us to supply them." So today I'm going to talk about going beyond the threshold with contemplation, intention, and visioning. Also, secondly, and really important, what the forest rangers in Canada say to never let a moose do. Okay. Also, that you are a living magnet. And those are some words from Eric Butterworth, one of my favorite teachers. Oh, I wish I had realized that when he was in the body and speaking to thousands in New York. I think, why didn't I ever go see him? Because I didn't know about him back then. But his books are wonderful. I've taught so many classes on Eric Butterworth. So we'll talk about being a living magnet, which of course is our thoughts. We teach in Unity that our thoughts create, bring things to us. And then finally, to expect miracles in our lives. It's a very important little piece of paper that we just passed out. It's one of my favorite spiritual tools. Very lightweight, but very powerful. So we'll conclude with that. If I remember. So if I get done and you say, hey, wait a minute, what's the lightweight thing? Then just remind me, because I go off and I love to be able to have Spirit tell me, oh, you need to talk about this also. So in this new year, you feel the energy of the new year. Maybe you made a Wheel of Fortune or a vision board. Last year I made a vision board to actually try out for Wheel of Fortune, the TV show. And then I kind of forgot about it. And about halfway through the year, I was watching it because it's one of my favorite shows. There was one of the contestants, and Pat Sajak was interviewing her a little bit, and he said, what's this about your Wheel of Fortune? And she said, oh, at the beginning of the year, I always put things on this board, a picture board, and I put Wheel of Fortune on in January. I said, damn, Bronte, you forgot to even follow up with that because you can't get on the show if you don't actually try out for it. So that's, again, on my thing this year. But now we're, halfway through the month in this really important time of our lives. We're sending out so much love right into the world, sending out peace, sending out love, trying to stay really positive when we see things. Just remember to also send that love to yourself, to maybe ground yourself in love before you send it out. Visioning. What do we want? Are you allowing yourself time for contemplation? To think in the morning, or perhaps in the evening, or perhaps both. What do I want to see? What do I want to appear? What would I like to learn? Who would I like to interact with today? How can I move my life forward in even more ways? How can I know a higher knowingness of all that I can be, or do, or have, or experience? We are magnets to what we think, as Butterworth said. We draw that energy to us. Now, sometimes in Unity and these new thought principles, we may be concerned if we have a thought that's like, oh my God, I thought about something I don't want. But I don't think that has the same energy as something we do want. So consider that as you are contemplating, if you choose, what you want to see in this day and in the days ahead. And the visioning. Do you keep a sketchbook with you? It's a little technique that I learned from reading Julia Cameron's books about the artist way in writing. She said, keep even a little sketchbook. You don't have to be an artist or be able to do magnificent murals with hand paints like you are so blessed to have in the Mass. But just to have a little thing to sketch on if you're sitting in a doctor's office or waiting for something, or just have a moment to put pen or pencil to paper and just sketch. Maybe let it come through you, and something might appear on that little piece of paper that shows you how to approach something in your life that may be coming up or not. Intention. So, contemplation, visioning, and intention. How big do you go in your visioning when you do your meditations? Can you think of expanding whatever it is you want to something even higher? Even higher. Do you believe in miracles happening? Or the incredible circumstances that just seem like, oh my gosh, oh wow. I was sitting in an interfaith meeting recently in Athens, and there were maybe, it wasn't a huge gathering, it was maybe 15 people that day, and we were chatting at tables and sharing our ideas on our different faiths. And there was a newer person there who works for the government in Athens and also is involved in some of the EMT and emergency vehicle systems. So his phone went off, and he went ahead and answered it. We could just, we couldn't hear what he was saying, but when he was done talking, he said, "I'm sorry to interrupt for a minute, but someone at the hospital, the ambulance driver, just called me because there's a woman that he took to the hospital, but nobody can understand what she's saying because it's a different language." And he looked around the room. Does anyone here speak Farsi? Now, how many people do you know that actually speak Farsi? The gentleman right next to him from the Baha'i faith looked at him and said, "I speak Farsi." Right next to him. So he gave the man his phone, and he was able to communicate with the ambulance driver and this woman who could not describe in words that anyone understood what was going on with her. And I went, oh my God, that's a miracle. Which isn't even a miracle, because when we believe in these things, is it even a miracle? Well, thank you, God, for showing me that. It could have happened outside the room, it could have happened somewhere else, but I got to experience that. How big are we thinking about what we want? How deep can we believe in miracles and answers showing up exactly when we need them? So perhaps you'll think beyond the boundaries that we sometimes put on our lives and let something bigger come in. I know you want to hear about the moose, right? I love moose, which no one ever seems to know the plural of, but I love mooses. I was in Yellowstone maybe 10 years ago now, and I love hiking and being in parks and forests, and people told me there was a moose up the trail, and I didn't have any bear spray on me. I didn't really have hiking shoes because I was just going to get out of the car for a minute, and I ended up probably walking 2 miles into the woods looking for a moose pond so I could see a moose. And I'm doing my, of course, metaphysical moose, like I do with dolphins. Do you do that? Dolphin, show yourself to me. Moose, show yourself to me. And people were telling me, yeah, I saw the moose that were coming the other way. We saw the moose just a little further, and I'm hiking and hiking and hiking. Finally, I see leaves moving, because they're very good at camouflage. If you ever want an animal that, like a spirit animal, moose is great for camouflage and fitting in and not being seen. I saw some leaves moving, and I was like, oh, there's a mouse. And all of a sudden, this probably 1-year-old moose, which was still taller than I, starts walking out of the bushes. And oh my God, it's the mother around here somewhere, and you do not want to get between any kind of animal baby and its mom. So I started walking back, and the moose followed me for about maybe a block. But that's not what Canada said. Canada said the thing you should never let a moose do, ready, is lick the windshield of your car. Heard this on public radio yesterday. Why? Because they have a lot of ice and snow in Canada, right? So what's on the roads? A lot of salt, right? And moose will come up to it, maybe not when it's moving, but to a parked car, and lick the windshield. And just like a Christmas Story movie, what can happen when a big, wet moose tongue licks the windshield of your car? It sticks. So, somebody asks you what you got out of the service this morning, you can say, I remember, and I'm going to remember always not to let a moose lick my car. You are a living magnet. Eric Butterworth said in his book, his amazing book, Spiritual Economics, it's an important moment in your life when you discover for yourself the great truth that things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only thing that really count, the only things that really count, are the things that happen in you. In you. What is happening in you? You may have precious little control of the elements or the fluctuations of the stock market or the unpredictable behavior of people. We could add the predictable behavior of people and all the things going on in the world. However, you live in a world of your consciousness. I'm going to say that to myself. I live in a world of my consciousness. I live in a world of my consciousness, which is the sum total of all the thoughts of your mind. And you can control, we can control what goes on in our minds. This is not to say that it's easy. Thank you, Eric, for adding that. But to establish that it's possible. There is a great idea that you will encounter again and again on your quest, that you are a living magnet, constantly drawing to you the things, the people, and the circumstances that are in accord with your thoughts. We are living magnets. What are we focusing on? I remind myself so many times during the day, not just once or twice, what am I thinking? What am I focusing on? Yes, I believe in trying to write things that are, write R-I-G-H-T, write things that concern me. Yes, it's important to me to give to causes that make the world a better place, or to stand up and protest when I feel it's time to do that. So I'm not ignoring things, but I need to watch my thoughts. Am I thinking more about love, or things that don't feel like love? Am I thinking more about discord and fighting and wars? Or am I remembering to balance that with peace and good news and things that make my heart sing? Grandkiddos, babies, Children, anyone's children, makes my heart sing. What else makes my heart sing? What makes your heart sing? Could be something going on now or something in the past. Sometimes I've got to go in the past. Oh, I remember that time when. Sometimes I need to go into meditation or prayer. Change my thinking. Give it over to Spirit. Now, unity, we don't see Spirit as something separate out there somewhere. Remember that song from Fightful? Out there somewhere. It's in here. But we can still give it over to God, to Spirit, to the divine, holy all, whatever you call that. So we turn within. So we say, hey, Spirit, Infinite One, you help me with this today. I know you hear me because you're in me. That's what they say. And then there's, of course, times for me when things seem to get so awful that I end up praying to what I call the God in my attic, where I call it, please stop this. Please make this better. But I know it's in me. How do we keep our thoughts clear? Focusing on the good. These are such simple principles, and I know you probably, like me, have heard them again and again and again. And I think I always need to hear them again and again and again. What am I thinking about? How much time in my day am I spending on positive thinking? Not ignoring stuff, but just moving from that's new. I got to do that again. You want to do that? You want to do that? Revelations. Not necessarily the book in the Bible, which I'm still figuring out. I always want to skip that one when I'm trying to figure the deep metaphysics of it. But someone speaks Farsi in this room. I don't know if I've ever in my life been in a room where someone speaks Farsi. Okay, got a nudge. I'm going to share my burning ball experience because I'm still kind of laughing about it and delighted about it. I did a burning bowl ceremony in Douglasville, Georgia, which is west of Atlanta, last Sunday. And I knew I was going to be involved in the direction of it and all that, so I wanted to do my own the night before. And if you have ever looked in a minister's freezer, there's probably a bunch of flash paper, which burns very quickly and needs to be kept in the freezer, and I have a stack of them in my freezer at home. So I took out a paper, and first I tested and wanted to make sure it still worked. I said, okay, so I'm going to think of 3 things that I want to release, and I'm not going to share those with you. They all started with D, and I wrote them down, because it is a private, personal thing, what you let go of. And if you haven't done a burning bowl, you can do it at home with other kinds of paper and bury it or tear it into shreds. They say don't put anyone's picture in there. And so I put the 3D things down, and then a word popped into my mind, which is something I think about from time to time, which is inertia. Now, inertia means what? Bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. Bodies that are still tend to stay still. And I've been working with this because sometimes I am too still. And I'm not spending my time on what I want to spend my time on. Do you do that? And sometimes I really wish when I'm in motion just to slow down and switch. So I thought, okay, I'm going to add that. So I had my 3 things, and I thought, okay, I'm going to add inertia. The piece of paper was just small, maybe 2 inches by 2 inches. I wrote it kind of tiny. And I thought, well, I'm going to light it. I put a candle out. I'm going to light this. It's going to burn very quickly. So I stood by my stainless steel sink so I could throw it into the sink as it got too close to my fingers. So I'm all centered. I'm letting these things go, and it flashed, and I threw it into the sink, and I went, oh, there's just a tiny piece of that paper that landed in the sink that didn't burn up, and it's okay. It's not a sign that, I'm not a burning bowl person. So I looked into the sink, and on that little tiny piece of that paper was the word inertia. All the other things had been burnt up. And I went, okay, that's interesting. I don't know what that means. So I said, okay, I'm just not letting it go deep enough. I really, really want this to be gone. So I grabbed another piece of flash paper and put it on the counter, grabbed my biggest marker, wrote one word, inertia. I got this. Got my candle ready, pulled that paper up off the counter to burn it, and as it's burning, I'm looking on the counter, the marker went right through the paper onto my kitchen counter. Big letters. I took pictures of it because I knew, no, wait a minute. So, that has nothing to do with this, but I love that story because I cracked up in my kitchen. I was laughing for probably half an hour after that. 3 times it took me to scrub that off. And sometimes that's what we need to release. So, Matthew 17:20. If ye have faith as much as a grain of mustard seed, which I think we can all picture just how tiny that is, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall move. And nothing shall be impossible unto you. Remove hence to yonder place. Might be a good phrase to remember when we're really trying to release something. Remove hence to yonder place. I have no idea where yonder place is. It's probably a street somewhere. But remember that. And then, the magical, did everyone get one of these? Did you get them passed out? Okay. Most of them are yellow. If you got a green one, that means you're special. If you got a yellow one, that means you're special. Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth. Are you familiar with Emily? Oh my gosh, if you're not, consider reading her. She was a metaphysical physician, a homeopath, one of the first women ever to get a doctor's degree in New York. Back in the 1800s, she lived into the 1900s. And she was healing people by looking into them, kind of a Carolyn Mace type of thing. And knowing that the truth of their illness can be hooked into their emotions. The Fillmores wanted her to write a book. She'd sent a couple articles to them. She never wanted to do it. She just did not want the fame or attention as personality. She was spirit. And she eventually did write enough articles and agreed to have them in a book. When I was in ministerial school, first time, Dr. Barbara King, our teacher had us memorize the affirmations in her chapter 4 and 5. There was one book with letting go and then the affirmations. This little prayer on here is hugely powerful. It helps me with all these things. It helps me with intention. It helps me with visioning. It helps me with contemplation. And it helps me keep that channel, those thoughts clear, that magnet that Eric Butterworth says we are, that unity says we are. So when I'm praying for someone, something's going on in a dear one's life, whether it's personality things or financial situations or health, I say this. And when something's going on in my life where I'm forgetting who I am, when I'm forgetting that I'm spirit walking in this world, even when I don't feel like it, I say this. And I say this when the news comes to me. World news. Stuff I wish wasn't happening. To help me see the bigger picture. You can use the pronoun I am in here. Or you can use you are, or you can use we are. It's one of the strongest spiritual tools I have. Just a little piece of paper. And consider reading How I Use Truth by Emily Cady. So when I'm not feeling aright, say, I am spirit. Think about this. You want to say it. Perfect, holy, harmonious. See how that covers so much. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid, for spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. I manifest my real self through this body now. This is not magical thinking or woo-woo. And you might say, no, I say it and I'm still sick or dealing with this physical thing. Well, the body maybe is, but your higher self, your spirit, goes beyond it then. And if you're praying for someone else, you might not see a change immediately, but you're seeing them as their highest self. You're seeing them as the allness, as the oneness. So if you like, think about someone you would like to say this prayer for. We can say the you through it. You are spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt you or make you sick or afraid. For spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. You manifest your real self through your body now. Feel the energy of that? Think about our world. Our world. Our planet Earth. Can we use our imaginations to see miracles? Far seat right next to the person. Right next. And say it for the world if you wish. Picture the world. Do you believe it's God made? You know, and so it's full of spirit. We are. We are spirit. Perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt us or make us sick or afraid, for spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. We manifest our real selves through our bodies now. So it is. I hope you find that useful, spoke to you. I'm really glad to be here. I love your building. I love your campus. I love the outside. I love the inside. I love your wonderful, wonderful way of doing things. It's true unity, and I'm very, very blessed to be here. Thank you so much.